Hello. We would like to tell you now about how we believe that the current crisis, which is causing public transport to be underutilized, can actually be turned into a great advantage. Because whether we like it or not, social distancing is likely to be here for a while, and it has brought many advantages because teleworking has become widespread. And we believe that it will be capable in the future of being integrated with transport and property in a way that uses technology we already have, but in a slightly smarter way. Technology is available to everybody. Older people may not be so familiar with it, but we believe that because it's become so vital, that it's something that the government should make a point of ensuring that people can use, and if necessary, providing them with it, much the same way as pensioners are given the winter fuel allowance. Because mobility as a service will definitely be coming. It uses technology that we're already familiar with, such as Google Directions, but it takes it the one step further because all journeys can be booked right the way through online. And this will bring about dramatic improvements. The whole journey is booked and the seats are reserved at the time. Payment is made at the time of booking. So the process that is used is very similar to budget airlines. In other words, the sooner you book, the cheaper you're likely to get your travel. And what is more, you are guaranteed a place. You're given a choice of options and you choose the one that fits best for you. So let's look at a journey which starts with a bus. It then goes on and transfers to train and finishes probably with a cycle. We are told exactly when your bus is arriving and precisely which seat will be yours when you get onto it. Presently, even a double-decker bus can only accommodate 30 people, so there's no reason why the seating shouldn't be greatly improved. Wi-Fi on buses is already normal in places like Brighton, so again, the quality of the experience should be improved. When you arrive at the station, you're not left on a cold, wet and uncomfortable platform. You wait in the telecentre, which is a co-working centre that's comfortable and it has facilities such as good catering and so forth. And it's possible to work there or have entertainment. And some people will use telecentres in their own towns as a more congenial place to work than staying at home because it enables you to interact with other people who live in your town. But it also means that you can make productive time of connecting between two modes of transport. And the great model for this, of course, is the first class waiting lounge with which we are familiar. However, what will happen is that you're told when your train is coming, precisely which carriage you will be going on and which seat it will be. And the surveillance technology on the train, which is already there, can easily be programmed to warn you which is the best place to alight onto the train and to avoid the crowds. This technology already exists at Utrecht station. It's just a case of making it more available. Once on board, the circumstances will be much closer to what we currently consider to be first class. And the great advantage of all this is that the previous peaks which public transport used to suffer trying to have to accommodate can now be spread throughout the entire day. So the total number of passengers traveling will be the same as it was before. However, what their experience will be infinitely greater. And we believe that this will actually make public transport far more attractive. And it will certainly be more attractive than sitting in a traffic jam in a private car. The level of facility that's available for online travel is extraordinary. Even on the underground, it is possible to have a telephone conversation and use a mobile phone. I have observed this process to my amazement very recently. We would very much like to invite you to a conference where we'll deal far more with this process of how development, planning and transport should all be linked together. It takes place on the 5th of October. It will be hybrid, both online and in London Euston. It's called Metroisation of the Railways, and its keynote speaker will be Sir Peter Hendy, Chairman of Network Rail.
Hello everyone. Today I would like to give you a glimpse on the content of the Street Improvement Manual being developed by a growing collaborative group of engineers, landscape architects, and urban designers. The manual's goal is to give local authorities practical and comprehensive solutions on how they can transform their streets to move toward a bright future in an exciting, efficient way and go through all crises we are facing today. As you may know, more than 80% of the population in the UK live in an urban environment, and that's why our streets are so important. The way how our streets are designed can be part of our problems, or on the contrary, streets can be part of the solution by offering a healthy environment with lively centers and vibrant communities. In the past few months, we've seen a number of cities and towns around the world using the coronavirus crisis as a great opportunity to entirely rethink their mobility and street space location approach to hit several birds with one stone: health crisis, economic recession, climate change. At the same time, we're seeing many local authorities in the UK find it difficult to envision how to go through these difficult times. Some do nothing at all, hoping that these crises will go away on their own. Others do bits here and there in a panic mode without any coherent plan, and facing protests of residents and businesses not willing to embrace any change. The reality is that crises reflect the end of systems that have worked well for some time and that need structural changes to adapt to a new context. COVID has only amplified issues that already existed and is pushing us to change faster. Regarding our streets, it's about to transition from a car-centric and oil-dependent approach to a fairer and greener approach where there is also space for small businesses, pedestrians, cyclists, children, nature, water, resting, playing, etc. There's much research on the theme of crisis and change management that shows that the longer people wait to adapt to a changing context, the harder and longer the negative impact will be. There are 4 stages that people go through when they need to change: denial, anger, acceptance, commitment. The way how our streets look like reflect in which change stage local authorities sit in. The issues won't be solved by changing a bit of footway here and adding a small section of cycleway there. All urban designers know that cities, towns, and villages are like living organisms, and to function well, they need to function as integrated systems. Does it mean that we need to change all places? Probably, but we shouldn't worry too much. It's been, and it is being done elsewhere, including recently in Ghent, Barcelona, and Paris, that have all managed to achieve extended results with limited resources. Here are some inspiring videos that I would like to encourage you to look at. All these places use common ingredients for success. These ingredients are very similar to what you would find in a design and access statement for a new development. We don't have time today to go through all of them in details, so I will present them very briefly. First, a positive and exciting vision that shows a real political leadership. 2, daring objective regarding elements such as modal share and space allocation. 3, overarching network design principles that are actually followed. 4, a comprehensive network plan that binds key origins and destinations to create an efficient circulation plan with different scales of permeability cells. This would prevent, for instance, having cycle corridors away from the street businesses or low traffic neighborhoods congestioning high streets where it is too loud and polluted to sit outside. A strategy to implement the whole plan in an incremental way through three phases: crisis, recovery, and finally resilience. Instead of injecting a lot of money in very localized projects, it is better to inject a bit of money everywhere so the whole system is improved straight away. A clear palette of recognizable street and junction and mobility hub types. And finally, and it's very important, a set of non-physical measures that will help to change our streets to their best in a smooth way. Thank you very much. That is it for me today.
Hello, my name is Christopher Martin. I'm co-founder and director of urban strategy at Urban Movement, a member of the executive committee of the Urban Design Group, and a trustee of Living Streets. There's no getting away from it. COVID-19 has torn a hole in city budgets, decimated urban economies across the globe, and forced the hand of public transport providers everywhere to limit earnings and restrict usage. Indeed, TfL estimated the loss of passenger income at about £500 million back in March. Local governments face a likely shortfall of hundreds of billions of pounds. Small businesses are closing at alarming rates. And when the Chancellor's tax and business support expires, shortfalls will very likely get worse. We do have a problem. But we should have hope. Cities have always been the engines of recovery, and they need to and will be again. Investing in a green and just recovery is the only way we will dig ourselves out of this hole. We need to put in place a system that safely and equitably connects people, everyone in society, to jobs and city services. We need to put in place a system that once and for all eradicates transport poverty and assists places to rebuild economically. And when we look at it, we should see the 15-minute city as an economic recovery tool. The term or brand is based on the power of nearness, when things are just close. Now, there are all sorts of these brands. Melbourne had the 10-minute city years ago, and Oslo calls it the city of short distances. But the idea remains that we have to move toward a situation whereby what people need is just close, where what people need can be reached in a way that is very cheap, so opportunity can be accessed by all in society, and where what people need can be reached in a way that doesn't damage society and the environment. From a financial perspective, this is a winner too. A US study called Foot Traffic Ahead, conducted by lots of sensible and scientific sounded organizations and people, found that walkable urban places, I should say, demanded 75% higher rent over the metro average in the 30 largest cities. And this is, of course, supported by the TfL Economic Hub work, which we all know and love. 15-minute cities, micromobility, and more space for walking and biking are the innovative solutions that will help our cities rebuild and restore our economy, while protecting lives, cutting dangerous pollution, and increasing community spirit and local pride, so people want to buy local and forget Amazon. But delivering this is sometimes not easy. One reason is that we don't see urban and transport design as a science, yet we are trying to save lives and create a thriving and prosperous society. In science and medicine, and we can very easily relate to this at the moment, if something attacks us, if something is killing and hurting human beings, science and medicine fight back to eradicate it, lessen its impact, and put us on a path of recovery. Medicine and science evolve and keep pace with the evidence. We are not being prescribed leeches anymore, and we are all fine with that. But with our streets and transport, we sometimes fiercely resist change. With all the cultural, technical, scientific, and political innovation we've experienced in cities, city streets have been in suspended animation for generations. Look at Regent Street in 1885, in 1950, and today, the layout and makeup of a street have been largely frozen in time. How we move about and how we shape cities has to be governed by what yields the maximum return on investment for people and society from the space we have available. And that means streets have to evolve, to move on and change, to constantly support people in society in new ways. And like medicine, streets and cities have to act to eliminate what kills us and protect from what harms us. In the design of our towns and cities, there's simply no place for nostalgia. What the 15-minute city concept gives us is a common ground, an urban transport theory that understands the importance of experiential qualities, and indeed understands that people have self-interest. The idea of bringing things closer to people isn't new. Various planning philosophies, including new urbanism, have promoted more dense, walkable development and simply putting things closer together for generations. Bringing things closer together, in fact, is a win for us all because it makes our lives easier. And this is what the 15-minute city concept realizes and highlights. It's about strengthening communities. But also, when things are local, we don't need to think long and hard about the best, or let's say least worst, way to get somewhere. We're free to travel in the ways we want. And more often than not, this will lead us to travel in the ways that are the most enjoyable, fun, and relaxing. So I'd say as designers of cities, it's on us to make sure that these ways of traveling are the ones that are the best for the city, for the environment, for the economy, and for society. And if we quickly look at London through the lens of the two major components of the 15-minute city concept, namely transport and land use planning, we can see that in terms of land use planning, as is the case in many cities globally, we're nearly there. This is some more of TfL's great mapping work, I believe. The magenta showing town centres, light pink being a 15-minute walk for people with mobility issues or walking with children, for example, and dark pink being a 15-minute walk on average. And the purple here is showing a 15-minute cycle. So there are very few pockets of London left grey. So to my mind, it is the transport that we need to focus on in cities. It is transport that we need to connect with land use planning and strategic urban design more closely, because without effective transport in the equation, we have communities within cities that work around the drive, park and enjoy concept rather than the 15-minute city concept. Places that you drive to, get out of your car and relax. A place where you can enjoy being a pedestrian momentarily. This isn't the future we can accept for cities. This is the model for Disneyland, not the model for our engines of economic, societal and health recovery. So to close, this pandemic has allowed us a clear moment of introspection as cities. It has highlighted disparities and inequalities in how our cities are arranged and highlighted the damage to the environment and to our health that was accepted. Distance and remoteness threaten our human culture. The 15-minute city is a mechanism for getting back from this crisis. It is an economic and social recovery tool. Thank you very much.